Greetings, pawns, poppers, and programs. Welcome back for another session of the grim adventures of Elidon and Oppenheimer on the FARAD System 4th Alpha Playtest campaign. We have, once again, Delcara as Oppenheimer and Wolfie as Elidon. And I am Blue Jester, the arbiter of this game and creator of the FARAD System. Been working on it since 2012? Anyway, 15 years, approximately. Anywho, where we left off last, Oppenheimer and Elidon had investigated the woods south of Thornton and Siggens Hollow, leaning mostly toward Thornton, which is where their barn is located, and ended up finding in a tunnel leading underground the corpse of a female woman who was burst open from the stomach area and chest, and upon seeing that the tunnel went deeper, the two ended up putting it on to a makeshift stretcher with their horse pulling it, and then as they were trying to quickly leave the woods, they were attacked by two creatures, which they later would find would be called headless ones. And after talking with a couple locals, they decided to take the two headless one corpses and the corpse of the woman to Siggens Hollow for the medical examiner to be able to look at her. And what information that they have gleaned thus far is that likely this woman is the girlfriend or relative of the college student who G.R.I.M at Grafton had located the corpse of, who had evidently gone into the area looking for the Copperhead mating ball pits, and unfortunately ended up with a larval young of the headless one in his gut, which later burst out. And there was a photo of her and the other one together, along with the name. So that's why they have taken that information as most likely what has happened. That said, using a cart to haul the three bodies with the horse leading the way, you're not going to have any difficulty taking along the highway and into town. So it's just going to be a short time before you end up at the funeral home where the medical examiner for Siggens Hollow, Thornton, and neighboring communities is typically located, as he is qualified and certified by the state to serve as a medical examiner for general autopsies and other information that needs to be gathered. He had previously a intern, which Oppenheimer would know had ended up moving up and taking a job at in a different county, and he has been for many years now looking to find a suitable replacement in order to be able to potentially retire at some point, but knowing that his services are very much still needed presently. So
are we good to start, or is there more recap?
that was just filling you in from the recap through to what Oppenheimer knows about this particular individual. You would have most likely interacted with them, as G.R.I.M does sometimes need somebody to examine a body, see, was this a creature, was this just a fall? If, say, somebody ended up exploring a ruin that they weren't supposed to, or in case something got loose from a ruin, etc.
Alright. I assume I can pull around back? They
You
don't want
can,
bodies disturbing people?
well, you can certainly pull it around to whichever side you'd like to. It's just a matter of, obviously, that door would be locked until somebody opens it. And since you don't have a cell phone, you'd have to go in to at least tell them, hey, I've got something you need to bring in.
Yeah. I'm sure I have a reputation for transporting things I've hunted that need G.R.I.M assessment, so...
Yeah, that's fair assumption. It's just a matter of, they can't have anybody slip in and potentially mess with an investigation.
So, pull around back. Hey, I'll watch the cart. And just climb out of it. And I'm sure Elle and I had an argument over, do I not care about Elle?
Elle is just sulking and contemplating everything he yelled about.
Then head on into the funeral home.
Okay. Inside, it is very quiet, calm, sterile, with artificial plants so that it doesn't appear to have a bunch of wilting things present, especially considering the implications of death and decay already with such a facility. And the doctor is presently not in the main desk area, but there does appear to be a young woman who is working away at some paperwork of some kind, typing it into a system on the computer.
With a unfortunate lack of charisma, just kind of walk up and go, hey, where's Doc?
She takes a moment, glances and sees your G.R.I.M badge, and she's like, oh, he's just in his office presently. I can go and get him if you need.
Yeah, we got 3 bodies that need an assessment.
Fair enough. I will probably be pulled in for this as well. Give me one moment to get him, and then he'll probably make introductions on my
Also,
behalf.
let him know if we don't have guards, we'll guard him. There's a chance that there's more unfriendlies involved.
Okay. I'll let him know that, and we can discuss further clarification, as that's an unusual note. One moment. And she'd just type a quick couple of keys to save and lock the computer access currently before getting up and going around. You would know that the funeral home, such as there's the possibility always of somebody who is not from the area coming through, does have proper Faraday cage wiring set in place in case, if, say, somebody were found a dead body and they had electronics that weren't fried, then somebody can be called in to do forensic analysis on the devices, but they're still kept at the funeral home because they are objects belonging to the deceased. So not wanting to separate that. He does not himself do that kind of work. He actually has to call in a specialist from the county because Siggins Hollow is not a large enough community to have somebody for that, especially with it being as close as it is to a ley line. So the fact that they have a computer for typing and filing things is an oddity in the area, but still something that Oppenheimer would be used to. It is on the older side, though. It's floppy disk, no CD-ROM, just basic documentation. But after a short bit, the woman comes back with the medical examiner, who knows you very well and is listening as she's mentioning what you said, clearly having gotten up the moment that she mentioned that a G.R.I.M agent was there, and didn't even question it, got up immediately and started heading to meet up with you. Oppenheimer, it has been a while. I was hoping it had been longer than that, but I hear you have something that needs my attention.
Beasties that burst from their victim's chest. Got 2 of them.
You say beasties, not a small parasite, I'm taking it, not tapeworm or
I
some...
pulled up the stick with, like, the cuts in it from the beast. Not small.
Oh my, that is intriguing. Alright, if you want to follow us, we'll get the door open and get them inside as quickly as possible. From the size of it, we're going to need a cart. We only have the 2, and you said there's a couple of beasties.
2 beasties and a human victim. Also, you're going to want guards on this, just in case a chest burster happens from the adults.
Well, I will have to trust you on that, as we don't have the funding for guards of our own. Otherwise, we would have to have you or another G.R.I.M agent call for additional aid, or stop by the municipal center to see if one of the officers can come.
Elle and I can be your guard. I'm just letting you know we're going to be here guarding you through the process, just in case there's danger.
Well, that is appreciated, and to be quite honest, to be expected, considering there may always be the possibility of something inside a corpse that must be seized by G.R.I.M. So, not the first time that I've had someone present throughout the autopsy, but
just
certainly
so you
an
know,
oddity.
I'm holding a shotgun, that's why.
Well, no, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure to keep it down and tell me to back up if you need to fire. My reflexes aren't quite what they used to be.
Enough. And if Elle's, like, crying over there, it's okay. It's our own little thing.
Well, I'm not going to say I'd be surprised to hear that, but I hope, whatever it is, that the 2 of you work it out. Been a good standing in the community.
Work it out for us.
Well, best of luck to the 2 of you with that. Let's get both carts. Are they around the size of a human or much larger? We may need both carts per body.
I just don't say much. Just head to the back door. I'm sure I know the way.
Yeah, you definitely know the way, and he's saying this more or less as he's walking with you to it. It's just simply down a hallway, and then a turn, and then there's elevator that can go down to where the morgue itself and the operating table is, and it's large enough that it can easily accommodate even a horse, just because there's the possibility of anything that's large enough that needs to be done. Thankfully, G.R.I.M is partially responsible for why he's got, a decent setup. But, yeah, he will unlock the door, and once it's unlocked and you can see the cart with the corpses still low enough in it that he hasn't seen them, just simply the vague shape of them. Says, "Oh, and this is Dr. Morgana. She is training to take over from me when I retire. She's a well-respected pathologist, and just a matter of making sure she's up to all the regulations that Taylor County requires, and that she's aware of arrangements such as with G.R.I.M and other organizations and that sort of thing, since most of what she did was not in ARC territories previously. Further out southwest from him, not in West Virginia." And she gives a nod. Sufficiently explained, yes. It's down in Nevada, to be precise, and ley lines are a bit more sparse out there, a lot more desert, not as much mountain in the area where I was working. And at that moment, she'd turn and she'd look at Elidon in the cart. She says, "Oh my. Now you are certainly an oddity I've not seen before. I see that
Elidon
you're
just kind of sits there and
with
waves.
Agent Oppenheimer. I
Yeah.
certainly hope that if you pass in the line of duty or some other fashion at some point, that I have the opportunity to study whatever I can from you, much as I'm sure you're a pleasant individual to meet now and to get to know over time, hopefully working together as I take over for the doctor eventually. You're definitely fascinating, to say the least."
She thinks I'm fascinating as I look over at him, at the morgue guy. She don't know me too well yet.
I was referring to your compatriot. You are certainly strange. I will give you that. I was more meaning biologically, physiologically. Your compatriot is unlike any I've ever seen.
That there is L. Super reliable, not the smartest, but also don't insult him because you might end up with a knife in your throat. Happened to me a couple times, doesn't go well.
Elidon is definitely staring you down and it's glaring at you for the stupid remark.
Elidon remembers. Poison and wounds. Shine of the moon.
I remember that knife. I didn't get the scar. Unfortunately, that would have been really cool though.
Open deserved.
You're not wrong.
As for the remark for wanting to be looked at and studied on, Elidon definitely frets a little and the wings jitter around uncomfortably.
Yeah, we don't talk about study and experimentation.
Well, I apologize if I've made you upset. It's just simply interesting. As I said, fascinating. It's nothing that I would want to harm you or do anything to you while you're alive. I just mean, if you should pass, that, at least you'd know there wouldn't be any pain, at least with it being an autopsy, and hopefully we'll find out whatever reason that you pass, if that happens. And then Agent Oppenheimer or somebody else, anybody who knows you, would have closure for whatever was the cause.
Elidon is Elidon. All known.
Well,
Bodies.
I might not be able to answer necessarily what you are other than your name, but things I could
As
learn
we're talking,
potentially.
I pop the back so it drops down, so you just see two pale bodies and the exploded gut person with no tact,
No
just whack.
No warning
Okay,
whatsoever.
she's looking at Elidon, and that drops down, which gives her a little jolt, and then she's just blinking and staring. The doctor just tilts his head lightly. My, those are some big beasties. We're definitely going to
the
need.
big cart.
We're going to need to use two stretchers together. At least they're, well, flat carts. So
We hiked. How long did we hike with them?
Days. Hours. Weeks.
Oh, they're heavy.
Elidon's definitely just naming shit off at this point.
yeah, it was definitely like dragging them with how heavy they are and getting both of them and the other one. There's definitely at least a couple of hours just from.
It was a couple-hour hike where we were dragging both of them and that body. Well, no, the body was later. I don't know. I'm still a little drunk.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear that. I've known you for quite a few years, Agent Oppenheimer.
You started an autopsy once. That was rude. Should have waited at least a week.
Well, I was specifically told to do so, so I have multiple times now apologized for that, but I was under instructions and was not aware of your unique capabilities in that particular regard. And he looks at Morgana and says, I'll fill you in more later, or Agent Oppenheimer can if he chooses to do so. Something to keep in mind with agents of G.R.I.M is that some of them are rather unusual individuals themselves, beyond young Elidon here. A Domtalahn, who's another agent that typically tends to be in the county as well, and certainly may be distressing to see his head fall off, but usually quite fine.
I'm just blessed by the mountain, that's all.
Alright, so, carts, and then getting them downstairs. This will take 3 trips. At least the last one will only need 1 cart. Poor woman. Not a resident from here, but suppose, considering the age, still a life that would have likely led many more years. Let's get them inside. With that, he'd start pushing out the carts, and Morgana would also help him as they use some of the straps that are meant to be able to hold a body that might be drowned or otherwise slippery, to tie the 2 carts temporarily together and make a larger thing. It's difficult to turn, but it can at least go straight without any difficulty once it's set up and then pushed against the cart to make dragging the bodies easier onto it. So, seeing as they are going to need to have one of them hold the door, which would be Morgana in this case, and the other holding the cart so that it doesn't slide back as the body is put onto it, who is moving the first of the Headless One corpses onto the cart?
I'm having my horse do it.
I was going to say, I'm not going to leave anyone alone with the bodies, so...
I'm just saying the horse would definitely be of use.
No, that's definitely true. Just make sure to mark their source point usage, but they can move it without directly touching it. So, your horse is...
Definitely not Elidon showing off their horse to this new doctor.
Never know.
Yeah, she's definitely looking around a bit confused as it starts floating, but, you know, it has been 60 years since the cataclysm, so the fact that their strange capabilities and such is not unheard of, just not something that she regularly deals with. So, eventually, the first corpse is put onto the lashed together two carts, and you're able to wheel it in, and then she controls the elevator to help get it down to the ground and then open up the operating theater, autopsy theater doors, which are also where the morgue slabs are. And together, you'd be able to get the first corpse onto the autopsy table, and its arms and legs are definitely hanging off the ends. This is a bit large. Usually for something like a horse size, it'd be more that they would, you know, get it down and just move the table out of the way entirely and work on the floor. But it's not quite that big, thankfully. This is... Alright, if we can get the next one down, we can leave it on the cart. No. We'll have to separate the two carts, get the woman down, get her into one of the freezers temporarily, and then lash the carts together again to get the other corpse so we can get it down here. And hopefully...
I'm not going to leave this corpse alone, so Elle can help you load up the cart. We can get down on wherever you need it down here. And I'm just going to make sure nothing slithers and or bursts the big things.
Well, that's understandable. At least with the woman, we can get her downstairs without any problem. The issue is that if she has anything that's still inside her, there is the distance between your cart outside and the morgue and autopsy table down here. So I don't think it's without another agent. It's possible to cover all three bodies since we can't move more than one at a time.
I'm too worried about the lady. Saying she looks like she's already a burst toast, so...
Well, it did seem to look that way to myself, but just giving you notice, if you hear anyone screaming, at least the morgue is not soundproofed, so you should still be able to hear us, and we don't have open office hours for funerary services when we're usually down working with cases like this. But seeing as how it's a pressing matter, it certainly cannot be delayed. We'll just have to have Morgana, if you can put up the closed sign as we go up, and then we'll get the lady. And with that, the doctor would go up with one of the two carts after unlashing it, and she would go put the closed sign up, and he'd wheel the cart to the back, and then she'd meet him, unlock the door, and take the one cart out to the larger horse-drawn cart for the woman's body to be moved next. Okay. Takes a little bit of time to make sure they've got everything, since she's unfortunately in as bad of a state as she is in. But with some effort, they get her onto it, and then shortly downstairs and into one of the slabs to preserve her for the time being until they can examine her separately. And then finally they lash together the two carts once more and take it back up to where Elidon waits with the other headless one. And then I'm guessing you're having the horse move it again?
No, I'll leave the horse with open, so Eldon's actually...
I'm
trying
down
their
there
best.
watching bodies.
Yeah.
No, the horse is staying with you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, the horse is...
Oppenheimer is downstairs in the morgue with one of the two corpses. You're currently outside with the other one.
Then
So
We can leave the horses alone out there. They'll throw anyone who has a problem.
That is fair. The horse is fine.
well, I meant more in terms of getting the corpse of the second headless one onto their lashed together carts. Were you having the horse move it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and mark it down another source point use. And then with that, you would be able to go with them downstairs to meet up with Oppenheimer in the morgue, with both corpses of the headless ones together, and closing the morgue doors to make sure, if there is anything, that something doesn't slip out or anything like that.
How do you stay down here alone with bodies? Like, I get it, like you butcher them and then you can gather the parts you need to do it. How do you stay alone down here with them? It just don't seem right.
Well, it's a matter of to each their own particular stance on death and dying and the like, and in my particular regard, the first few decades after the cataclysm, I certainly encountered plenty of bodies. Used to work for a precursor to G.R.I.M, which wasn't looking for ruins or the like, but just simply cleaning up hazardous human biological waste and the like for cities that were being reclaimed after, unfortunately, enough people perished that a lot of people fled without making sure to pull all the bodies out. So, not the same line of work as you, but I've been around plenty of corpses even before taking on this profession.
Fair enough. And I open up the letter to Granny and just start ratting it.
Okay.
Like, I'm paying attention to him, don't get me wrong. But I'm also getting my daily lettering.
That's fine. Alright. With that, they're going to start examining the outside of the headless one corpse that's on the autopsy table first, and looking at it closely and making sure to take copious notes before they do any cutting in or anything to that extent.
Oh, yeah, and I tell them all the stuff we observed about the lady's body before moving it, because during the moving it was dragged by a motivated horse.
Well, I can at least understand the reasoning for not being able to leave her in the scene, or the unfortunate state of her being, but considering what appears to have burst forth, whatever it was, whether it was their food or juveniles of this species, I don't know, but I feel a cause of death is most likely going to be easy to deduce in her case.
Fair enough. And I hold my arm out to L. Write a letter.
Elle definitely takes the letter and starts angrily, not angrily, but just like determinedly writing stuff.
Well,
to
like the
her.
way it works is like there's a thing that slides out of my arm thing. And it's like a computer touchscreen or tablet.
Yeah, it's angrily
So
typing
it's
down.
literally just me holding out my arm awkwardly, like, all right.
Determinedly writing a letter, a very strong worded letter in Elidon's writing.
Okay. Elidon, go ahead and make a interaction attribute trial check.
Where in the frick is that?
Okay. So on your sheet, it should be on the left, underneath resolution ranges. You should have statistic adversity check and then attribute trial check. So it should be a 2d10. And if you have a specific skill that you'd like to apply, you can for advantage. But this is just basically, even though you have specific understanding and frequent use of writing while Oppenheimer is holding out his arm like this, it is still more awkward than something that you're holding yourself. Somebody breathing in and out, not sitting down, etc. It's different than when he's got his arm on a harder, flat surface where it's easier to type. It's just a matter of if you have typos or spelling errors, other different things before it gets sent.
Pretty sure there's all of that. I don't really have anything I would put under.
Okay. So just go ahead and roll.
Accuracy can be one.
Well, I mean, it is a moving object, so you can add your accuracy to it. It'll help.
So if I have rank 1 in that, I can add one more?
Yep, you'd roll 3d10 and use the top two.
Gotcha. Oh, glad I did that. That was a 7 and a 5, and then a 2, so a 7 and 5 makes 12.
Okay. Well, that is a success at cost. So you get the majority of what you're trying to get through. Only thing is just maybe a spelling mistake
Typos
or
for sure.
a couple minor typos, but not enough that Granny can't understand what you're trying to say. It's just more or less when she receives it, you just assume writing in a hurry, youngsters.
Definitely putting down first, writing on Open's arm. So if there's any typos, she understands why.
Yeah. So, all right. And as you both write a letter, the doctor finish his external examinations and say, well, it does not appear to be any species that I recognize, and none that I've seen in documented texts, at least with this specific physiology. It could be a life stage, or it could be a matter of simply something that's known in the region, but not sketched and written down in a fashion that I would recognize it on sight. Regardless, does not appear to be hominid, does not appear to be ape, ape adjacent, possibly, or something from Domtalahn, or some other stranger place, Pangaea, possibly, or some experiment that got out from a ruin. Regardless, first incision, we'll slice open the chest cavity down to the navel and verify if there's any internal young or parasites, and then check the stomach contents. And with that, he will begin the autopsy. First slice and start cutting open, and have Dr. Morgana hold certain parts to keep it more stable, considering the larger size and how the arm moves slightly from muscle tendons and the like. Okay. No difficulties there. And soon he has cut open the first one and looks and can see it's definitely not human organ setup, but it is similar, not the same, but close to certain apes. It appears to be a large inflamed organ, and underneath where the tongue would be is connected to the jaw. We'll not be cutting that open presently until we can take a sample, but I believe that may be some kind of toxin gland of some sort. Further down, four-chambered heart, like a human, different shape and size. Most of the body cavity appears to be multiple large stomachs for digesting food over time. Nerves that reach to the shoulders and up to the eye stalks in the head. Appears to be harder bone behind the spine. With no head, I suppose the brain is in the back hump. Sexual characteristics. This one appears to be a male. And cutting into the stomach now. Appears to be partially digested remains. Small rodent, bird, legomorph, reptile. No human remains in this one. So it definitely was not one that burst out of that woman. Right, we will bind and separate the toxin gland for further examination later, and then move this corpse off the table to check the other one's stomach contents and separate the gland as well, just to be on the safe side for further study without damaging. And with that, he'll ask for some assistance in moving the one body onto the floor, having pulled out a tarp to set it on, and moving the other headless one onto the slab for autopsy.
I got no problem with helping. Most I say is, I wonder how many things I can make out of this body. Venom toxin, that could be a good weapon.
Well, I don't know yet exactly what kind of toxin it is, but you are a Grim agent, so as long as it's not required by your agency to have the body on hand, I'm sure they can sign over the papers for you to have them. I would suggest one corpse, likely to your Grafton branch, for someone to study them, and if they approve you with the paperwork saying you can have the other, then it'll be released to you. Just make sure to get that filled out as soon as possible, and as long as we verify that there isn't anything that's going to burst out of them, then they'll be safe enough to store down here. We'll just have to use a lot of ice and have them zipped into oversized bags that we would typically use for larger animals. Lower the temperature of the morgue itself in order to help extend preservation. Most likely would have to separate some of the limbs for them to fit. Mass-wise is not a problem, it's more the length, considering the bulk of the torso. But yes, certainly, if you wish to obtain some of the reins, not needed to be buried or anything, I don't think anyone is going to claim them in that regard.
Also, when you're done, let me know all the weak points you could find on it. In case you run into more, I'd like to be prepared.
Oh, I will let you know what I can tell. There's always the physiological difference in terms of what feels more pain versus what is softer tissue, at least. Unfortunately, without a live specimen, we can't test the former, but the latter I can certainly help you with. Right.
When you say you're safe and done, I got some prisoners to go watch, so I'm happy to help while I'm here, but I do have to get places.
Understandable. We just need to, as you said, make sure that there's not any surprises. We will have to check the woman just to be on the safe side, so moving two of these bodies, but shouldn't take terribly long. If you excuse me, if you two would be able to assist us with moving this one real quick, just simply a quick check to have you both use a stamina statistic adversity check on moving the corpse. You can both have an advantage on that because it would be the three of you working together with Morgana just making sure to hold the cart in place. And
can I give myself an advantage from my grappling skill?
I would say grappling would work, might would work, grip would work. I don't think there would be another skill that would be as suitable, but those three would definitely work.
Yes, I'm just going to use my grapple.
Okay, and Elidon?
Sorry, it was grapple, might, and what?
Grapple, might, grip.
Okay, none of those. But I have advantage, so that's 4.
Well, you would have an advantage, so it'd be 3d10, keep the 2 highest. If you didn't have something that would give you an additional one. In Oppenheimer's case, it would be 4 since he has the grappling.
Got it.
Might would also apply, but I don't think you have that either.
Nope.
Okay. So 3d10,
Ooh.
keep the 2 highest for Elidon, and 4d10, keep the 2 highest for Oppenheimer.
I got a 3 and 3/8. So 16.
I got 2 8s and a 1.
You got this.
Oh, we're doing great, guys.
Trust me, this is my friend Elidon. Always can rely on. Oh.
Hey, I made a 16. We're doing great. You need me to do social shit? I kind of suck at that. Never mind.
You need me to talk to? Oh no.
No, God, no.
Okay.
Who lied to you?
What was your total again?
For who? We were both 18, or we were both 16.
Oh, you were both 16. It's just you had the one.
I had a 1, and so I got another jinx. God, I'm at like 11 jinx now, guys.
Hey, you want a box? We can burn off some of that jinx.
No, I have a determined. I know what I'm doing with mine, and it's not the
Okay.
dodge.
All right, that's perfectly fine. Just making sure, because that is a straight success for both of you, no cost. So the body is able to be moved onto the ground off of the slab, and then the second one onto the autopsy table. And in short order, the doctor will make examinations of the second one just to verify there isn't anything else unusual about it, and notes the likely cause of death from the wounds and such, and so cuts this one open as well. Examination of this second one, removal of the toxin gland, sexual characteristics, also a male, checking the stomach contents. Appears to be a large bird of some kind. We'll have to check the skull further. Believe that may be a kind of heron or other large bird. It's definitely not a goose. I've certainly seen enough geese skulls. And believe that is a bobcat. That is certainly digested more than the bird. But again, no human remains. I don't believe that either of these ate into the woman. And we'll take a cut from one of the bones to check for rings of growth, see how old that it is. You'll go and grab a bone saw and start cutting through and take a sample and turn it. Gone through, appears to be 4 growth stages. I would say it's still young though. The stages are each very thin. It's a rapid development. Most likely, best estimate, about several months, year, 2 years old at most. Certainly too old to have come from the woman's stomach if she's still fresh. Alright, we'll get them off the slab again and take the young woman onto it. If you can assist us with moving it again. So another stamina check. 3d10, keep the highest 2 for Elidon, and 4d10, keep the highest 2 for Oppenheimer.
1, 4, 5, 6.
Cool. I gain another jinx, and I also gain a luck because I got a 10 and a 5 and a 1, so I got a 15.
I got a 15.
Guys, doing
Teamwork.
great. Teamwork makes the dream work. Let's go.
Okay.
Doing great.
So, you both have a success at cost. He's at least removed the toxin gland, so you're not going to end up with that. Fogged memories affecting it.
I'm going to guess that we did not put that body down softly.
No, never.
Last minute slip and some additional damage to it.
Yeah, we got off the table just fine, moved it over to where we wanted it, and you know when you're trying to put down something heavy and you just feel yourself lose grip and just freeze, like, oh no.
I feel like that's what you did, and Eldon trying to rectify that, trying to fly. Oh.
Don't worry, I'll lift it higher just in case. Wham.
Yeah, totally didn't help, but it worked. It worked out.
Okay. Well, the corpse does end up at least getting to where the bag is a bit of a squelching sound as it's not set down very carefully, and with the already cut open body and the stomach cut open as well, part of that stomach contents is going to spill out. And a little bit of bile is going to eat away at part of the other organs which are not biologically suited to contain stomach acid. And so it's like, well, it could have been better, but it's understandably quite large.
We dragged those suckers for hours. I think that took a toll.
I can certainly understand that. Thankfully, the woman will not need to be anywhere near as heavy and is already on a surface that's easy to transfer to the autopsy table. I will just simply have to make a note in case the stomach acid has any effect on decomposition rate. And we have 2 samples to be able to compare to, so I suppose it's good for scientific curiosity, but anyway, with that, you will move over to the drawer slab where the woman has been laid and pull a couple of latches to be able to move that quite easily with Dr. Morgana and set the woman down much more carefully. He does a thorough external examination of the corpse and then around the missing chunk of the torso, and not going to need as large of a slice for the autopsy due to the large opening that appears to have been external burst. Appears some bruising externally around the head, shoulders, and back. Some around the ankle on one foot. I would wager she was dragged, not the way that your horse dragged her, but rather one hand of this creature gripping her leg and dragging her through the woods wherever you found her and taking her to wherever she ended up. That or another one of these creatures, if not one of these two. They didn't eat her, but dragged her away. I would guess that, given the nature of the stomach and chest bursting out, was parasitic gestation. Does appear that blood loss and heart failure at the time of death was the final cause, rooted in the unfortunate birthing process.
Is there any damage to from the mouth to the stomach, like a sign of something invasive going in, or it is looking like it grew and popped out?
Well, it's hard to tell with the opening, but I would wager it was more something that has burrowed its way into part of what ended up being consumed. I'm not seeing any damage around the mouth or throat.
If this was in the food supply, like it was like a parasitic egg, this is very important to pass on versus sucker dug in.
Oh, I agree entirely. It's just a matter of that, if it's small enough, there wouldn't be any damage to the mouth and throat. It would be much small enough to go in, if it's able to get into the food supply. If it's large enough that it's more a chicken egg or quail, things of that nature, and hard, it would cause damage. If it was soft, gel-bodied rather than harder shell like a reptile egg, then it would possibly cause some damage. But I'm not seeing anything of that sort. Not an ovipositor that was forcibly intubated. It's more akin to a parasitic wasp larva or something else to that effect would be my guess. Something injected or cut and then shoved inside. It's unfortunately too difficult to tell with the fact that the birthing has completed and consumed a large chunk of wherever it was. But that would be the best guess. I cannot tell how small it was originally, but considering the fact that she was dragged instead of simply carried for a short period of time, I would wager that they, or another of their species, captured her and ensured that she would stay close to make sure
She
that
wasn't
the
a small
young...
den.
Well, then that will definitely need to have agents clear it. Unfortunately, that would make sense with some of the bruising on the head. If she was dragged through harder surfaces, I would think roots and smaller rocks would be relatively minor bruises. There are some that are larger, and that would make sense. Going over rocks that might be in the middle of dirt, if they can easily walk or crawl through such a den, then they would not need to worry about it, unlike a unconscious individual whose head kept hitting rocks as they were dragged to where they were. Or, unfortunately, possibly dragged somewhere and then woke up and at some point ended up birthing, but they do not appear to be restrained in any sort of fashion. So wherever they were dragged to, they were able to move until the birthing process, which killed them. So, and you said they were near the opening of a den, not deep in it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they were in the den, right?
They were in the den, but near to the opening.
Near the opening of the den, but they were definitely in it.
Well,
Almost like you're hiding a body rather than, storing it.
well, if it was near the opening, I would suggest perhaps checking tracks to see if there are human ones that went in both directions or just the one way, but my best guess would be, as I said, the possibility that she woke up after being turned into a host for their young, and an attempt to escape, but unable to get out in time. I do not know how long she may have been down in such a den, and not gotten far enough to die somewhere else in the woods, but
when we were first at the den, I believe I said we took notes on everything we saw there, right?
Yes, and you would know that it definitely goes much deeper. It went too dark for you to be able to see how far. You would have
I'm
definitely...
going to hand Doc the notes so he can have copies made of them.
Okay.
Just so his report can include, like, how we determined the depth, how big the opening was, drag signs, tracks around the den, just the stuff we recorded.
Okay. And in which case, then he would verify from your notes that you'd already determined that, yes, her latest tracks were not going back and forth while walking. They were just one direction toward the exit before dropping in too much pain and that bursting forth, dragging herself out a little further, but, when you lose that much of your body and it starts being chewed up from inside out and continuing to be chewed on, there just was no way she was going to survive that. He does say that there does appear to be consensus with my hypothesis from what tracks he gathered, and there unfortunately do appear to be signs that not only was she partially consumed in the birthing process, but also after death, there is certainly signs of some gnawing from whatever burst forth after rigor mortis had set in. So my guess would be that the young were taken to her corpse at least a few times to consume until they were full, and the corpse was left where it was rather than dragged anywhere, possibly to use it as bait for smaller creatures that young would be able to hunt at some point. I do not know in terms of how quickly they gestate, but I can tell you one thing. She is definitely only been dead for a very short period of time. I would say weeks, if that. And these two are definitely not juveniles. So you have at least one or two, maybe three. I can't honestly say how small they are, but given the size of the burst out and the size of the teeth, I would wager two. Two juveniles, these two males, and at least one female somewhere in the den. With
Well, I figure that there's going to be a matron.
Possibly. It's unfortunately difficult to tell in terms of whether or not there's sexual dimorphism or if some sort of other hierarchical structure from just two male bodies. I would wager that at the very least you've got two juveniles that have had time to grow at least a life cycle larger, not to the size of these. The female, however many there are, however many males, to hunt down in the den. And considering certain features I see, I would wager their den extends quite extensively. They have adaptations for digging in their claws and overall physiology that speak to both arboreal and subterranean habitat. The den tunnel that you said stretched far is likely going to either wind on itself down quite some distance away from potential scavengers, or possibly even a network of tunnels. It's hard to say exactly, but given their size and the fact that she didn't just simply escape after waking up, but died near their entrance there, I would say that it's certainly going to be deep enough that somebody who wakes up from wherever she was left she was not able to find her way to the surface. If it was a simple, straight, long tunnel, then that would not be difficult to see light at some point, night or day, shining outside.
It's cool if I use your phone real quick. If
Well,
you have one.
I don't exactly have a phone that is mine, but I do have a couple that are from the last unclaimed ones that haven't been turned in yet. I suppose if you want to risk making a call outside of the funerary home, you can risk an EMP going off from the ley line pulses. So just simply that the signal would certainly be blocked down here.
I'll just wait for my barn then, because there's a couple things I want Grim to do.
Well, I can guess at a couple at least, but yeah, you certainly need to get on this as soon as they're able to provide additional agents. No offense to the capabilities of yourself and Agent Elidon, but the fact that you two were able to take down these two speaks to your skill in handling it wherever you face them, but
We're
with
the
unknown numbers.
engineering department. Not combat.
Well, as I was saying, when you're on their own turf, they will probably have more of an advantage toward making the best use of it. Especially if the numbers are higher than just these two versus you two.
Let's get this over with so I can go make a phone call and be productive, I guess.
Alright, well then I will have Morgana type up the notes that you provided, and if you'd like to pick them up tomorrow, otherwise I can have her deliver them to your barn. It just depends on what you'd prefer.
I like deliveries because my mail doesn't usually arrive at my place. For some reason, they're afraid to approach the barn.
Yes, well, Dr. Morgana will have to be used to dealing with Grim agents and the possibility of things which cannot simply be brought back to here at time to put time, so best she knows where you're located in case of any discoveries that need to be reported to Grim.
Sounds good.
You would hand the notes to Dr. Morgana, and she will take them and give a nod and lead the two of you back upstairs for her to start typing them up and to let the two of you back out the back door of the funerary home. So, autopsy, definitely from what you understand of it and the terms that he utilized, does confirm that there are definitely more which are in the den, an unknown number, but at least minimum of 3, and that the notes will be delivered later today to the barn, and the report he will send out to Grim and other agencies and the like as soon as it is typed up and printed out. Though it will take time for it to be distributed, since he does not have a sending stone like you have.
So I'm basically just trying to get back to my place as soon as possible. Swing by the place, pick up scrap metal and other unnecessary things that for my tinkering, and head back home so I can check on the prisoners and make a phone call.
Alright. And Elidon, is there anything you'd want to do in Sigyn's Hollow before leaving or upon getting back to the barn?
Not really. Just probably resting up so I can hopefully get rid of this wound.
Okay. Well, it will unfortunately be too short of a travel for healing up the wound, but it will at least help you recover some of the weariness that came from dragging the body and such. Not quite to the level of an exhaustion, but it was still tiring in its own way.
My Oppenheimer is unfortunately sober because if I drink, my character will take a nap from exhaustion. So he is just grumpily driving and hating the fact he's not drinking.
Once the horse and cart are able to be brought back fully to the barn, Oppenheimer is able to remedy the situation after making contact with his handler at the Grafton Branch location.
Yep. First, I'm checking on the prisoners. That's the highest priority first step.
Doesn't appear to be any issue at present with any of them. They're continuing to do the work that they were told to do, and seeing as how you didn't stop by there after finding the two headless ones, they aren't aware that there was any potential danger to be on the lookout for. So, not any kind of stress.
Pan and a hammer, just get all their attention. Group up situation.
Okay. Doesn't take very long for them to file out from where they're at and move over to where you're located and start trying to figure out what it is that you are getting their attention in this fashion.
Number one, there's strange beasties in the woods. They're parasitic. Be careful. Flee, not fight. You ain't winning that no matter what you try. You need to be armed for that, and you are not currently allowed to be armed. So, for your own safety, do not engage. Number two. What was number two again? It was... I can't remember what number two was. Number two is going to be something important. Meantime, look out for it. Describe creature. And get back to login and whatever else you're working on. I'm just making sure all of you are safe and accounted for.
Okay. There's a little bit of murmuring for a bit at the mention of parasitic beasts and all that, and not to handle them, but they resume getting back to the projects that you've set them on previously.
I believe I had them, they were learning how to take down trees.
Yep.
Okay. Then before I go to Sending Stone, just finish the letter to Granny, basically saying, Ella's crying because they don't understand the difference between good folk and kinfolk. And they think I like them or something. I don't know. I ain't charismatic. Charismatic. That's the word. And then tell her about the beastie and tell her about everything we learned about it because they're probably in the woods on the mountain too.
Alright.
Hey, make a note. Watch your food source for parasitic eggs and or little things that infect, and check for dens. They're going to be deep.
Okay. Do you give them any details in terms of size or...
Oh, they're getting everything I know.
Okay. Then that information will be passed on to the community where you grew up.
Yep. send a letter to Ma, Granny, all of them. Of course, I have all the usual love you, Ma stuff, and how's Uncle so and so, and all that. All the necessary howdy doodies.
All right.
Then I move on to sending stone before I take a nap.
Okay. While
Because
you
I
are
still have to send the reg, so.
okay, while you are wrapping up the last bit of the letter, what is Elidon doing?
Sorry. Because we're not staying for long, right?
Well, it was at least recommended by the medical examiner that you probably want to have backup before going into the den. Obviously, entirely up to the two of you, but he did say that it'd be their turf and there'd be at least 3, if not more.
I don't plan on going in. I plan on telling G.R.I.M that, please send in combat people. We're engineers. We're not meant to do this. So, do with that what you will.
I mean, you are G.R.I.M agents who are meant to go in and check ruins and such, but it is definitely that you do need people who are intentionally, specifically for dealing with terrors.
Yep, exactly. And that's where I'm saying we're engineers. We're not combat people.
Well,
we
I mean,
can fight, but still.
Yeah, you are G.R.I.M agents, but you're not higher echelon military training sort of thing.
Yeah, so I don't plan on leaving the barn for a while. I want time to heal up. That's my current plan, if Elle's okay with that.
I mean, I'm just following you at this point, sir. I'm just here. If I need to go in and go scout things out because I'm smaller, then that's what I do.
Okay. So, is there anything specific that you're including in the message other than simply that, you need people who are very heavily combat trained and the two of you need to recuperate? Any other
Gonna
details?
mention checking food sources for parasitic potential, water sources, whatever. Basically, do a parasitic once over here. Gonna mention uh, potential risk of the parasitic things getting using animals to reproduce, not just humanoids, and sending over the rag with the forget juice.
Okay. So,
Once I know all my work is done, I'm drinking.
okay. It will take some time for you to get a response, just simply because they do deal with a lot of cases with different agents, and the fact that there needs to be time gathering up people and figuring out who can potentially be sent. But eventually, they would say that the toxin is something that would need to be studied further, but that they will see whether or not they can work on if it's possible to inoculate people for building up an immunity to it or a resistance, but that primarily they will try to make sure whoever goes on a hunt is properly garbed to prevent being injected with it in some fashion. And they would let you know that they will be sending somebody who is going to start checking the food and water, random testing, but it is a wide area to check. Most likely, given the information, they say, as the doctor had said in the funerary home, seems that it's more likely that it's large, not something that is going to be able to get into food and drink without somebody definitely noticing it. But that they will still have somebody check in case there may be other creatures, parasites or insects, bacteria, etc., from wherever these things came from that may have also affected the ecosystem. Because when something new is in, there's not always just a single invasive species, usually a bevy that comes with them when it comes to creatures that come from the ruins or from sections that had crossed over during the cataclysm. They will be sending a few agents, and you will know a couple of them. She does say that she will be sending Agent Cassandra. She will be sending Argent and Halloway. Cassandra, you would know a mild precognitive, constantly grumbles that she cannot use it for stock market or anything to that effect. Just simply short enough that it helps in a fight. Hence, Cassandra in the prophetic Greek mythos for why she has that particular moniker assigned to her. Her name is not that, but she has not said what it is. She was a work release prisoner who became an agent like Oppenheimer. Not in the same assignment together, but definitely a generation behind Oppenheimer, but older than Elidon, in her early 30s in appearance. And Agent Argent is not one that you've specifically met before, but you have heard of them. They are an individual who has capability to create a small flame, which helps for investigating into ruins that are very dark, as well as being able to use that for burning things, and also, thankfully, the ability to extinguish that fire. So somebody else wouldn't necessarily burn if they got hit for terribly long, if that would happen. Agent Holloway, you would know, they are late 40s. They would have not been a work release, but you would have worked with them on a couple of ruin explorations when it was near the time that you eventually had completed your own work release program and been allowed to become a full agent.
This is an opportunity for me to become a full agent?
There is an opportunity for Elidon to be, yes. There's just a matter of enough experience in the field and certain standards and such. I was saying that Holloway is one that Oppenheimer had met back when Oppenheimer wasn't yet a full agent. Elidon would have actually met Holloway a couple of times, just simply because Oppenheimer and Holloway know each other, and crossing paths, sometimes agents stop by on the way to wherever they're needing to go next, just like the Domtalahn had done and talked to you briefly. Holloway is about 7 feet tall, but not a very a lean reed, more of a thick tree trunk sort of individual. A lot of muscle, but not burly. So they have definitely the physicality that the job can utilize. Definitely going to have a little bit of difficulty moving through the tunnels with their height, considering that the tunnels, even Oppenheimer would have to be crouching in order to go through them.
How long is it to wait between sending a message and them arriving?
It will be a day and a half.
Okay, so not long enough for us to recover.
Well, you will be able to take watch to be able to try doing a recovery at night. It's just a matter of that you would need to be on guard for the possibility of any of these other things somewhere in the woods if somebody comes and tells you, hey, we need help before the others get here.
Well, I mean, Elle and I being on guard is pretty standard action.
Right. It's
Take
just
turns or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it's just more that in this particular case, there's a higher heightened possibility of people in the area figuring out, after you two had talked to the two individuals in the road earlier, that people might give some false alarms and such during the daytime. So, at least at night, most people are sleeping, so.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, if I have a chance to recover, I'd very much like to.
Okay.
I know Elle definitely needs to.
Right. Is there anything that either of you would like to do before you take the time to go on to watch and be on guard for potential things at night?
All I can think of is calling to see if I can't get a couple guards for the farm while I'm gone.
I don't think I have anything that helps me see at night.
in terms of guards for the farm, they would basically say that if you can swing back over to Sigyn's Hollow, you can temporarily deputize one of the sheriffs or their deputies to be present and guard. Not that they're worried about the prisoners necessarily, but that there should be somebody if you're going to be on watch in the area, for the possibility of the creatures needing to take the time to check. With regard to deputizing, you can also potentially pull other people who are locals, who aren't law enforcement. It's just a matter of that there's the possibility of, somebody seeing that you need to sleep or you're not going to be there and then just risking going away or falling asleep. Whereas with at least law enforcement, that they would rotate people and be less likely to fall asleep on the job.
Sounds good. I'm going to deputize so we can get enough people to watch the barn while we're gone, both for prisoner safety and because if there's more of those things.
Okay. So, with that, we'll take the time to swing back over to Sigyn's Hollow, deputize. Go ahead and Oppenheimer, make a interaction attribute trial check. Any applicable skills that you'd like to utilize in just trying to see who you can get, because the more people that they spare, the fewer that they can watch Sigyn's Hollow and the other areas that they cover, but on the other hand, they can rotate them more easily to make sure that there's not going to be any overstraining to watch and difficulty keeping alert.
Reason and morale might help.
I would say reason will definitely help. Morale, in this case, is more if they were specifically scared. The law enforcement, at least, is local law enforcement, so they do know that there's, larger things in the area, bobcats and other creatures that are big enough to keep an eye out for.
What about Judge?
Judge might help.
Work?
Judge might help if you're checking which people that they offer. So I'd say that will help you to get the best that you can get using the two of them together, yes. So roll 4d10 and pick the two highest.
All right. Those are D10s.
Then those aren't the ones you should be rolling.
I rolled them like, wow, I got max dice on a lot. Wait a minute. I'm only half blind. Don't mind me.
Quite all right.
Let's see. Where'd the other T10 go? Here it is. Ooh. 4, 4, 8, 10.
Alright, +1 luck. And that will be...
And I'm going to make Judge the primary check I did.
Okay, it'll be success at cost. So it's just going to take you a bit of time talking with them in order to...
18 is success with cost?
Sorry, 18, yes. I forgot you had the 10. I heard the 8 and 4, and then I had already written down the luck, so I don't know why I got confused there. Yes, 18. That should be straight success.
I was going to say, this is a real challenging game if 18 can't do it.
Well, I mean, if there was a negative, but I would mention that if that was going to be the case. So that was my mistake. Thank you for mentioning that. Still ends up with the same amount of progress and the luck either way, but at least there's no cost. So you were able to quickly go over the people who you know, who work law enforcement for the area, and they will rotate 3 different people so they can have an 8-hour shift each, and be able to have them either sleep or regular patrol elsewhere or off duty, depending on what their shift would normally be otherwise. Which will help with making sure that they are not going to be too exhausted. And they will keep an eye on the prisoners and also be present if anything should come that needs them to defend the prisoners or any of the people of Thornton at the time. They will not be leaving the barn area to deal with people's complaints for potential things to be investigated, unless a second one has come to relieve them. Then the first one can be freed up for that. So they will make sure that people are aware of that.
Cool. You want to make some knockout juice?
Yes.
I have faith in your chemistry.
Okay. Are you going to work on this together or separately?
I was thinking I was going to make some folky shot while you make knockout juice.
Work for
Unless
me.
you want my assistance.
No, could I possibly have, fuck, I forgot. Nate, that was his name.
That guy.
I think that was his name. Look, I forgot the nickname we had for him, and I barely remembered the name, okay?
All right, Twitchy.
He still has a Twitchy. That's what it was. Yeah, because he has the other one, so I could also still take that back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'll make more.
All right. So, go ahead and roll a interaction attribute trial check. Go ahead and use applicable skills that would add to that.
Okay, so crafting. So that brings me to 3.
Yep, if you've got 1 rank in crafting, then that would bring you to 3. Believe that should be the most that you've got on there, but just
Yes.
check. Yeah. So roll 3d10, keep the 2 highest.
Don't fail me now. Oh. Ooh. I got another luck die. So I rolled a 5, a 6, and a 10. So that comes to 16.
All right. That will be a straight success, so you're able to make a second sleep knockout bomb.
Woo.
And then Oppenheimer, if you can roll same interaction attribute trial check with applicable skills for the Foki that you are preparing.
5, 8, 9, 10.
19.
And a luck dice. That was a craft check. So
And that will be a straight success, so you are able to replenish. So that will give you one additional one.
Let's see.
And you're using that as a unstable foci with a creature?
Basically a shotgun foci crystal that goes bang on impact. Not
Okay.
noise-wise, but just like magic for a moment just kind of increases the amount of damage it deals. That's the goal. Using unstable foci, yes. There we go.
Okay. So you are able to utilize your capability with just a simple creature to convert it in that fashion, and plenty enough, with there being a barn and not cats around.
And I've been that deer I
rodents and other
got, I've been
things.
converting too.
Yeah, and the deer. There's plenty enough critters around to be able to make use.
The other thing that I would like to do is convert part of the deer into armor using various ribs for this the frame, and combine that with some metal and leather, and basically do that to make a basic armor, and just take some wood, make a shield. Just quick little projects.
Okay. With the metal, are you more meaning it in terms of like bits and scraps where they're essentially just layered in, or are you more meaning like plate or mail or something else to that effect?
Think of it like a plate carrier. The armor itself holds it in place, but when a monster hits at cost, I would lose a plate, and then it's real easy to replace.
Okay, so that will definitely be something that's going to take multiple processes to do different parts for it. Because you need to make the plates, you need to make the hide to be tanned and prepared with the pockets and such to put the plates into, etc. So you are, I would say, you probably already have some leather on hand for different projects and such with prisoners and the like, but it's probably not large scraps of leather. The deer will provide you deer skin, which is still good enough leather for usage and soft, but you will have to tan the deer and take the preparation time for that.
Okay.
So the first check which you'd be able to do would be to prepare the deer for tanning. Tanning takes time though, so it's definitely not something that you'd just be able to just simply leave and have the next step the next day.
For the sake of prototype, could I use cloth?
If you have cloth to use, you would be able to. I don't think that you have something that's specifically a lot of scraps of that. It's something that you could certainly purchase and then start modifying, but you would need to do that when you're going into Sigyn's Hollow and spend some of your money on that.
Okay.
So we can wibbly wobbly and let you go ahead and buy some as when you went into town to deputize. So then it's not an additional trip, but it would mean spending some money on it.
I'm fine with that. Do that. Alternatively, I was going to say instead I could just take the shield and add slots to add metal to it. This way, when at cost, a plate breaks if I didn't have materials for armor.
A shield at least would be relatively easier. You could use a ring from a tree, since you've been having them, dealing with, wood in the first place. Just have them saw a large tree ring and then, saw it on both sides, smooth it out on a belt sander basically, and it might break more than a specific metal shield, but it would be better than just nothing. That probably they can do working together before it's time that you guys would need to be on watch duty.
Yeah, I'm just looking to make a basic shield that, testing out the theory of having multiple plates in it for the sake of multiple at costs. That's all I'm really trying to do.
Yeah, I'm just saying you can do that, or you could do the fleshing and put the hide in for pickling. Tanning in total, you would take 1 to 2 weeks, just with how long that the process takes, unless you have something to accelerate it, like an ability that condenses it. You could use...
I do to a degree, but I also don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can use Chronal to accelerate some degree, but it's not going to accelerate it that much. It's like something like shortening hours is more feasible than days into short. So yeah, the shield making attempt, I'd say, would probably be a bit more feasible, at least with the time that you're aiming for.
I'm also going to make L1 if possible, just to, let the scout be able to defend themselves.
Okay. Elidon, are you going to assist with that, or do something else before it's time to go on to watch duty?
Could I make night vision goggles? Because I don't remember if I have those or not. I don't think I do.
One second here.
Oh, I should get rolling. That'd be smart.
Yeah, because I'm not for sure.
Yeah, you have diving mask goggles, which help with your eyes, but they don't boost your vision. It's more that they protect your eyes.
Yeah. If I could better those things to make it a night vision as well, that would be great.
So, with night vision, you have the technological option. That will require a lot of metal and battery pack and small Faraday design to basically let you see through it like you can see through the glass on a microwave, but it would stop an EMP. That, I will say, a lot of that you can do. With the equipment that you have, that one last step is the problem. Because it's having to put metal inside the glass when it's being made. And the barn has a lot of stuff, but it's not really a glassworks. And specifically not specialized glassworks. You can potentially try, if you had the correct domains, to use a freeform ability to work toward transmuting something. But I don't believe you'd have what you would need for that. In that particular case, you might be better served if you, say, were in an area that had been a city where there's a lot of abandoned houses. Because something like a microwave glass plating might still be in a microwave that you could extract it from. Now, on the other hand, you can practice spending time trying to learn a domain that might let you be able to do it magically. It's just a matter of you need to specifically work out what would help toward that end. Since it's not an ability that you currently have, it's something that you'd have to attempt and work toward getting as templated into an item.
Got it. Then, because I know we're on a time crunch type deal, would it be better to say that Elidon is trying to affix a light fixture, like a flashlight, to either their, to where the goggles are at currently, and or the mask they have to wear, or on their body in some way, and have it be a red
I
light?
assist with Cygnus.
I guess so.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
assuming we
This
have
thing is-
lights. I'm just trying to figure out how to get a flashlight on me that's not too bright. But I know red light is usually the best light to look for at night. Give away your location quicker.
You'd much more likely have essentially what would be like a hooded lantern, because that's a lot easier to do than a flashlight in terms of dealing with if it's battery powered. Like those large cylinder flashlights that have a mirror foil behind them so that the light goes in one direction despite being a cylinder. You'd have something more like that. Now, that in and of itself would have to have those kinds of dots, but it's curved, so you wouldn't be able to adapt that to the night vision goggles. But you could use that for going into ruins and things like that. No, I'm just letting you know that the tech which allows you to even have flashlights is that same kind of tech, because otherwise the batteries would just fry when a wild magic pulse comes through. So you would have the kind of lantern flashlights, not the smaller beam flashlights. So it's going to broaden a wide area rather than a smaller focus, is all.
Got it. Well, then, no, there's not much else I would do, because I can't do that.
Yeah. Some limitations just due to where you guys are at with being as close to the ley line and such in terms of some technological risk. If you're inside the barn, you can easily use a flashlight and, use it within it because it's shielded, but going outside of it is a different matter altogether. So, all right. In that case, if the two of you work together, I would say then we can give an advantage to Oppenheimer in making the two shields.
I rolled up for the crafting. 2, 4, 9, 10, 10.
Do I need to roll 3, by the way? I think so. I have crafting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working on yours and Oppenheimer is working on his, and you're helping each other.
I was helping. Yeah, I was helping him.
I would say that because you're helping each other, you would gain an extra die on yours. So you can roll 4d10. Oppenheimer, on the other hand, unless you're rolling an additional die, the maximum you can
adding
have.
Engineering to it.
Right, but remember, unless you're adding an extra die, the advantages can't go higher than the number of dice that you'd normally roll. So if you have
Yes.
2d10, it'd be 4d10. And you listed off 5 numbers.
Yes, because I was adding my engineering, which is 1 point. It's crafting and engineering.
Right. But are you rolling a luck die, a jinx die, or something else with it? Because if you're not, that last 10 wouldn't count because it wouldn't have been rolled.
Well, it starts with the 2 die. Then I have
Right.
the 2 from crafting and 1 from engineering.
Right, but remember that the ranks and skill give you advantage on it. On a die, they don't give you an extra die beyond. So if you have 2d10, you get 4d10 max. Unless you're adding in another die from luck or jinx, etc. So that's why I'm asking is if you're going to use luck or jinx or something else, because otherwise you would only get 1 luck.
Okay, I misunderstood how... Okay. So, minus the 10, it's 19.
Okay. That's still good. It's just not,
Yep.
as massively high. So, yeah. Would have made a big difference in getting a success with bonus when shouldn't technically be possible to hit that without spending extra. That's why I was like, that doesn't sound right.
I was just reading off all the numbers. I wasn't saying, adding them all up at once.
Right, but you did roll an extra die, so that's why I was making sure.
Yeah, I thought when I attacked another skill, it added a die. I don't know why I mixed that up.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks since we played last, and it's not often that you do end up with 3 rather than just 2, so it makes sense for the confusion. But yes, it's advantages on a number of dice rolled. So if you have 3 advantages, you still only get to use 2 of them unless you roll an extra die. So if you do, then you can get higher bonuses and things like that. But in this particular case, you're aiming to craft something, so the bonus would be just more of an additional durability or something else to that effect.
Okay. Don't mind me, I'm still learning.
Quite alright. It's definitely still, only the 5th session and a circumstance that doesn't happen often in terms of having extras this early in the game. So, alright, and so a +1 shield, and it will be able to be added into your stuff easily enough. And Elidon, with yours.
So this is definitely the session where I keep gaining both jinx and luck dice. So I have a 1, a 6, a 7, and a 10. So it comes out to 17.
You want to try the pitching machine to burn them off?
No, I have a plan that does not involve dodging. It's cooking. Elidon wants to be better for family.
Well, there's... I will say that cooking does still depend on if you're eating what you're cooking or what you're cooking, because you are still working with heat if you're cooking. So there's the possibility of getting burns.
Oh, I know. That's the whole point.
I was going to say, does that mean I have to be like the test dummy because I keep coming back to life?
Yes. Every time I fail.
That's a good way to find out if it works or not.
I'd like to roll an escape check from having to eat it.
No. You fucking put me through that one time with the dodge. I'm fucking making you eat my cooking.
Alright.
Why did Oppenheimer die this time? Poison.
So you both have a shield that has +1, which will add on to your active and passive defenses. Technically, it's always adding on to active if it adds on to passive, but just, how it ties together. If you utilize it sometimes for certain active defense checks, that will make a difference in terms of that. Like if you're bashing something out of the way, that sort of thing. Versus just simply holding it and avoiding damage.
My goal was kind of like the plate carrier concept, so we can use it more often. Like it's meant to lose a layer, so we still have a shield.
Well, you'd still have the underframe. It's just that the underframe itself is a lot easier with the modularity that you've designed for that to potentially be pierced through, since it still has to be light enough that you can gain the benefit of moving it around with the materials that you have. If you spend a lot more time and you make, say, a large metal buckler, for example, you could add on additional layers on top of that to thicken it, but the buckler itself would require having an anvil or casting it, versus what you've made, which is more wood and metal that's thrown together. Because it does take time to make, stuff. So
I just kind of figured for like prototyping, I would just take chunks of metal, cut them into things that I can attach to it, because I'm not looking to make the perfect fit. I'm not looking to make the perfect setup. I'm just testing, if I put plates in, how many times can I make at cost before it's done?
Yeah, this is basically what one might consider akin to Fallout Raider kind of equipment. It's Mad Max junkyard scrap versus a proper blacksmithy, just because you're making it quick enough that you can have it available while you are on watch tonight, versus something that you're spending most of the day or multiple days to work on. So you definitely are still going to get a benefit from it, and that will help a lot. It's just, it's not going to be fantastic given the limitations of time.
Like I said, this is a prototype on, can I make a scales falling off on at cost technology, I guess.
Okay. So, you're able to at least make something that you feel will get the gist of it. It will depend on testing how much damage it's able to take before you end up with a break or repair necessary to see if it's as effective as the cost was warranted, versus if you want to make a whole bunch of these. Something to that effect. You'll have to find out, either through practice and training or through actual combat situations. One or the other.
Yep.
It's all theory until it's put to practice.
Works for me.
Okay. That said, Wolfie is currently away. I was going to, before they said BRB, they check to see who was going to take first watch. However, seeing as that is the case, would you like to have Oppenheimer take first watch?
Yeah. Let Wolfie recover.
Okay. So, we'll have you do a...
Observation, I'm guessing?
Well, observation will definitely be the skill. I think in this particular case, we'll have you do a combined trial check. This will be essentially interaction and acuity.
Okay. So we have strife, interaction, so interaction. Wait, acuity or?
So we'll have you do an
okay. Here we go.
we'll have you do an interaction check first, and then an acuity check afterward.
Okay. So those use observation right now?
You can use the observation skill on it. Acuity is more trying to prevent fixation or breakdown. Because
Got it.
while you are looking around and trying to pay attention to what's in the environment, you're trying to make sure that you don't get too distracted by something and then the possibility of something coming from a different direction, or the possibility of freaking out at something that is not necessarily actually there or is something else.
I got a 2, 4, 10.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and then mark observation.
All right. And then go ahead and roll for your acuity.
Let's see. 3, 3, 9, so 12.
I'm back. Sorry.
I'm terrified.
You should be. I don't know
Okay,
what
so
you did.
both of those were success at cost. So you are able to stay on task, keeping watch, and with the interaction and acuity both at cost, I would say in trying to pay attention and trying to make sure that there isn't any problem, you are going to take 1 mark as you have a cost on both, but
Okay.
the second cost is going to be something that will come up during your rest. You're going to have a 1 disadvantage toward when you rest and sleep on whether or not you have a dream or nightmare.
Oh, I figured one of the costs would just be I'm too busy trying to find deer.
Well, I mean, that can explain why it's happening, but I mean, in terms of mechanically, why you didn't have, 2 marks from the situation.
Yeah.
So, but after a lengthy time at watch, Elidon would be able to come and relieve you. However, before Elidon relieves you, let's have Elidon roll their recovery check. So, go ahead and roll 2d10.
Because I was totally here and not walking away because I had to go take my dog out. Why am I rolling a recovery check?
So your recovery check is you're resting while Oppenheimer is on watch. So you're trying to recover some of your penalties.
Got it.
Like what happened 2 sessions ago when you met the Domtalahn. Oppenheimer was recovering and then took watch after you. But
Got it.
right now it's the inverse. Since you were away, Oppenheimer took first.
Okay. So 2d10. Fantastic. That was a 9 and a 5.
Okay. So that is enough for you to be able to take a second recovery check. So go ahead and roll that.
Yeah. Ooh. There's a 4 and a 3.
Okay.
Want to use luck?
You certainly can.
I could use luck. How many luck do I have again? I've gained so much this session. I don't.
Well, you've gained 3 this session. I would have to check to see what you have in total, but yeah, you certainly do have some.
I think it was a 3. How much do I need to pass this?
Well, with your first recovery check, you are able to remove a full penalty and drop it down to a mark instead of removing it fully. So that will help. The second one, at present, being as low as it is, it would be a failure. So that would be taking a mark rather than removing the 1 mark as default. So that it ends up being only removing a mark between the 2 of them.
I believe 15 is the success, right?
Success at cost, yes. So rather than removing, by default,
I'm not making that. Never mind.
yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of luck.
I have 3 dice. That is not enough luck that I deem worthy enough to make that roll right now.
You do have more than it. I just was saying that I'd have to check your larger amount. But you have...
I think I only have the ones I have left. I think I used all of them last session.
Yeah, it looks like if you didn't, you used very, very close. So yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, just going with it probably would be best not to.
I have more jinx die than I do luck, so I know that.
Well, that is definitely true. But yeah, between the 2 of them, ordinarily the success at cost would be that you'd remove a full penalty, but you'd take a mark, which means instead of removing a mark and penalty, you just simply remove the penalty. So that's your first one. The second one, failure with bonus, you would not be able to remove the penalty, and you'd also regain the mark. So you're up 2 marks, but you're down a whole penalty. Otherwise.
So I've lost my wound and then gained 2 marks instead? I'll take it.
If you want to do it on the wound, otherwise you can do it on the fixation. You can...
I'd rather the wound.
You can release the fixation, you just have to do a check on that, considering the circumstances where you were holding it. Ordinarily, that's something that you would probably want to do earlier, but there's the possibility of the fixation staying if you have not. So.
I mean, I'd like to do both, but I think
well,
the main one would be the wound.
You can roll to try and lower your fixation. That's just that you're going to need to take some extra time to do so. Considering that Oppenheimer was dealing with the message and waiting for the reply and everything on that regard. 1 second here. I believe that you would be able to do resting or meditative condition for that, yeah. Meditative condition will be the one that would apply. Yeah, if you enter the meditative condition, you would be able to take an additional fixation for 10 minutes, and then if you're not interrupted, you'd be able to release it and remove all fixation as it's not being forced. And you'd be uninterrupted if you wanted to have done that.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and roll for an acuity statistic adversity check. And we're just going to see whether or not you fully remove the fixation or if you just reduce it down to a number of marks, which might keep it at fixation but drop you down in marks.
Okay, so I'm only rolling 2. You done?
Believe so, unless you've got calm or a different skill that would help in this particular case.
Do what? I don't
Calm
recall.
or meditation. Yeah.
I don't have... I have neither. Alright, 2 it is. Yeah! Alright, that's a 5 and a 6.
Okay, that ends up being an 11, which is success at cost. So you're able to remove the full fixation, but you would keep the mark. So that would put you back to a full. So you'd have the fixation, but no marks. So that's how that would balance out.
That's fine with me. So if I got rid of my fixation, that's this roll. The first roll I did, is that for the wound?
So you currently only have one fixation. You have no marks, you have no other penalties. In order to remove your other fixation, the one that is currently active, you will need to either rest again or enter into the meditative condition again.
Got it. I just had to update YouTube because apparently it didn't show that part yet.
Well, I updated that when I was explaining it last, so it's a little slight lag between the upload and when I say it.
Oh no,
that you hear.
my end was a little way farther behind. So
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying is that YouTube has a little buffer on that regard. But you are able to take watch, so I'm going to have you roll a interaction attribute trial check, and then an acuity statistic adversity check after that.
okay. So for the interaction, that is 2d10. What could I use? almost want to use camouflage, but I don't think that would work for this. Actually, no, observation works.
Observation does work, yes. That is something that Oppenheimer used as well. So
That's 3d10. That works, I guess. I got a 2, a 7, and a 9, so 16.
okay, so straight success for paying attention and not having any issues leaving a watch or getting easily distracted. I'm going to have you roll the acuity statistic adversity check to see whether or not you have any breakdown or fixation while you are on watch.
Got it. So those two.
You can also still use the observation on it, and I will say you have a straight success from the other one, so you won't have any disadvantage or anything else that will affect it, unlike if you had a failure. So
I will do that now. Ah, ball it. So I gained another jinx die. I got a 1, a 3, and a 3, so that's a 6.
Cue my slow clap.
Shut the fuck up. Look. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
All hail chaos.
No,
I mean,
honestly. You're not wrong on that one.
Blood for the blood
Chaos.
god.
Chaos may it forever reign.
okay. So that is a failure with bonus. So
Doing great, guys. I'm leveling shit up for sure.
Hey, that means you got extra points on your observation check that time.
I know. I went from a 7 to an 11 in those 2 checks.
I will give you the choice. Do you want to take a second fixation or your first breakdown?
You know what? What is a breakdown? I want to know what that does. I'm gonna go with that. Probably the worst idea, but I'll do it.
Okay. All right. And then, since you are keeping watch, we'll have Oppenheimer roll his recovery checks.
Do I have to declare which one I'm recovering, or?
Unless you have a skill that ties to a specific penalty, you do not need to, no. In Elidon's case, they had the fixation still and hadn't yet taken the time to drop it, so it was still on the back of their mind, basically, and they needed to do a check to finally let go. I mean,
Elidon did have a breakdown about does Oppenheimer still like them?
Yeah.
So I am having a mental breakdown. Fantastic. This is great. I feel like it's completely different, but I'll take it.
Just based on our earlier conversation, it's just having a moment.
I feel like at this point, I think it's more of, should I let this person, that doctor, experiment on me? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Do they know me? I think that's their fixation right now.
Where's the medicine check?
First aid?
That's the one I'm thinking of. I don't have points in that. Okay. So, can I use morale? In particular, I want to grab like cloth scraps. I have the alcohol, and yeah, and just bandage myself, try and get rid of the wound. So I was trying to find the skill for that.
I would say if you want to spend the time doing that, you can have advantage on one recovery check, but because you're spending time on that and not getting in the full amount of rest, you would have disadvantage on the second one.
Well, the reason I'm doing that is you said on a healing check, if we had the right stuff, we could then basically have to explain how we're healing ourselves. So I figured that's why I'd have to explain that.
Right, but that's if you're specifically choosing to take the time to do it. You can either sleep longer, which means you're leaving Elidon waiting for longer, or you can take the disadvantage because you're trying to do it while somebody else is on watch.
You know, Elidon can take that extra time to process their
To
feelings.
really go further down into my mental breakdown, let's go. You're gonna come find Elidon, and then Elidon's just gonna be like, fetal position, hands on head, like just freaking rocking back and forth.
This
Psych
is
patient,
normal.
let's go.
It's okay.
One
Psych
moment
patient,
here.
let's
I've got
go.
one moment here. I've got to shut my window.
It's okay if you're having a mental breakdown. I'll give you a shiny. You'll be okay.
I don't know if that's gonna break this mental breakdown.
All right. Neighbor marijuana stench was starting to come in. Needed to close that, or it would massively be distracting. Okay, so you can go ahead and make them as standard with the advantage if you have a skill that applies. Elidon,
Best I
however,
got is morale.
morale, I don't think really would necessarily work in this case. That with the well, actually,
I was torn between
that would
morale and craft. Craft it for making better healing. Morale for morale.
morale would help if you were trying to get rid of a breakdown, I would say, possibly, or a strain. Now, you do have a strain, but it wouldn't really help with a fixation or a wound.
The wound is what I care most about. So, craft for making best bandages?
That will give you one advantage if you pass the check with a success or higher.
Okay. So I'm rolling 3 dice now.
Okay.
Okay. Here to 5, 7, 10.
All right, and that'll give you 1 luck, plus 2 progress to craft, and you will be able to get 1 advantage on the first recovery check.
Okay. And you were saying something about Elidon?
Elidon will be waiting longer, so it's longer than what was originally discussed, I would say. So that may affect how they react.
Yeah.
Go. Let's go with this meltdown.
So the second check.
Yep. So go ahead and roll your first recovery check, because that was first to craft the thing that would give you the advantage on it.
Yep.
So you're aiming for your wounds. You have one advantage, so it should be 3d10. Keep the 2 highest.
Okay. 155, so 10. I would like to use a luck dice with that because I want to get the mark on.
Okay.
So that is 6, so 16.
Okay, that will be a straight success. So
And if I get
will...
max on a luck dice, does that also count towards how many I have?
That would, yes.
Okay.
It's just that you would not be able to immediately use a luck earned that way. You'd have to have other luck available, which you do, but in this case it doesn't matter. You're just trying to get rid of the wound. So you are able to heal the wound. And then your second recovery check.
I believe that would be the morale for strain.
Yep.
So 3 dice again, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 2, 6, 6, 12.
Okay, so that would be success at cost. So you would be removing a mark, regaining the mark in addition to the strain. So you're going to keep your 2 marks, but you get rid of the strain.
Okay. So, no marks, 1 strain, 1 fixation. That's what's left?
No wounds. You have 2 marks, 1 fixation.
Okay, cool.
So if you take 1 more mark, whatever you were trying to prevent, you will get.
Yeah.
And then Elidon, on the other hand, has 1 breakdown and 1 fixation. So, that being said, Elidon, I'm going to have you go ahead and roll a 2d10, and this is going to be on your dream nightmare possibility. Now, the breakdown is happening after that, so will not be affecting this check. But it will potentially be affecting the next one if you don't get rid of it somehow beforehand.
Got it. Nightmare incoming. Stop.
Ooh. I got a 6 and a 10.
More luck die.
Okay. Straight success, you're able to sleep without any problems. Just nice, decent, average sleep.
Oh wait, that means I didn't feed Nightmare. Damn it. It's fine though. I'm about to have a breakdown anyway, so it's fine.
Okay. And now Oppenheimer, if you can roll yours.
Alright. Oh, 1 and a 7.
Feed Nightmare!
Okay.
I need to burn some jinx. That's what I need to do.
And then that is failure with bonus.
I drank too much before bed. That's what happened.
No, you didn't drink enough. That's the problem. You didn't drink enough.
Oh, yep.
Well, it means that your dream is going to be a nightmare specifically, but there's something of interest, of use in your nightmare in some fashion.
Do I gain any points for this failure? Or is this strictly a roll?
This is the possibility of a nightmare may affect certain things, like if you're trying to, if you are having if you're having difficulty getting enough sleep. In your particular case, you already are letting Elidon wait longer because of the time that you're making yourself a bandage and everything. So I'd say it's going to just take even longer just to get longer sleep. You wake up in the middle of it and then go back to sleep. So Elidon is going to be waiting even longer. I would say before, it probably was something like, oh, you're going to be 15 minutes later. I'd say you're going to sleep in a full hour later than you should be to your watch to relieve. I mean, not to your watch, but to let Elidon that watch is over. And your bonus, on the other hand, despite your nightmare, you are going to very briefly, as you're having a nightmare about some of the things that were happening around when you were a child and the aftermath of the cataclysm, you do still have a vague sense of nostalgia for those times when you were a lot younger and when you were with the rest of your family and not having to yet deal with prison reform or being a G.R.I.M agent or anything else. It was just survive and help family.
The classic, we live in the middle of nowhere, we are the only thing we can rely on. Ourselves, and not that other family over there, because screw them.
Yes. And a lot of horrific things that would have been seen and experienced at that age, but still, there's something to be said about having survived it and become stronger out the other end despite the trauma, not because of it.
So the benefit is knowledge of the cataclysm, or
The benefit would be twofold. I will say, one, there is the nightmare itself doesn't last fully through your interrupted sleep. There is that nostalgia aspect of it, which softens the blow a little bit. But in terms of remembering bits about the cataclysm, because you're as old as you are, I will say that you would remember snippets here and there about theorizing people were making. Some people who mentioned that, well, it had to be them aliens. And others who are like, no, it was those Domtalahn people, and, you know, looking over at your relative who came from there. And somebody else who said, nah, it was a government program. And then just, there's a kind of look on your grandparents' faces that you didn't recall before now. And maybe it's the dream and it's not actually the memories as they actually happened, but there's just a touch of a regretful look as this stuff is being discussed about what caused it from your grandparent who came from Domtalahn. You're not entirely certain what is causing it, but the context of the cataclysm and what caused the cataclysm, there's a possibility maybe they know something that you'd never even thought to ask. Or if you did ask, that they didn't give you a satisfactory answer before.
Definitely noting that.
I hope you had a wonderful nightmare, Oppenheimer.
Is this revenge for the breakdown?
For the dodge? No. The breakdown was my own thing. That was my own. That was my own stupidity. That's how I'm going about this.
Okay. And then when you finally wake up and you check the time, you realize you are already close to an hour late to go ahead and relieve Elidon.
I have that panic that you have when you've slept in past work moment of just and just in a hungover state, partially. I am not fully dressed. I'm just kind of hustling out the door, verifying there's no trouble. I have that bleary-eyed, like half-crazed look on my face, holding a shotgun, just running out the door.
You definitely have that feeling of like you just missed the school bus.
Yeah!
And you're not even in
Yeah.
school anymore.
Yep.
I'm gonna be late, guys, I promise. I'm getting ready for school. Wait, I don't have to go to school anymore.
I was gonna bust out the door. Where's Bird? I'll get that bird. Oh. Hi.
Donna's just freaking out in the corner, tweaking.
Hey, you good?
I experiment. Not good, not good, not good.
You're not an experiment. No one gets to touch you. I'll shoot them if they try.
I feel like I'll launch just way too far in there.
Yeah.
I hand you a flask of booze.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Elidon has told Oppenheimer some about their past, to the extent that G.R.I.M was going to try looking into some stuff, but hadn't yet come up with anything, if I remember correctly.
I feel like Elidon would not have actually told Oppenheimer a lot about it.
I think all you told me was you're an assassin, not that, like, you're an
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah.
Right, but
The
an
experimentation part comes from, like, nightmares and stuff.
Right, but I mean,
not, like, explained.
An assassin who specifically had an explosive that was set in case something went wrong.
I think that, yeah, so he knew about that part because he ripped it off me.
Yeah, it's he doesn't necessarily know you're an experiment, but he knows somebody at least did mess with you in terms of doing something that could have been an experiment to force you to assassinate, or could have been just simply, well, this is a target that we can't have you, fail on, kind of situation. Mm-hmm. Not knowing the full details, but enough to know there definitely was something odd about that.
Yeah. So. Yes. So yeah, a lot of what Elidon's gone through has not been specifically talked about.
So probably my way of handling these kind of situations is just kind of grab your shoulder, shake you till you look at me, say breathe, and then hand you a flask and say drink.
Elidon definitely takes a sniff first.
It's apple pie. It's good for you.
I know moon. I know moon nasty.
It's part of your daily diet. Like, how do you live without it?
Pushes it back from you. There, out of their freak out moment.
Rejected my kindness. Drink.
Shine of moon meant for open, not Elidon.
I will find a booze you'll drink.
Apple juice. Juice of apple.
That's what this is.
No.
You have no taste.
Just no.
Just there is a basically half-naked, crazed redneck trying to explain to you the values and joys of apple pie moonshine.
No. After a while, Elidon will definitely pat themselves down to be like, they're good, we're here. Okay, things are good.
Probably look over at the prisoners who are staring at the crazed redneck.
For sure. For sure. Actually, would any of the prisoners, if they were awake or moving around, would they have seen Elidon before Open did? And would any of them have tried to help them?
I mean, keeping watch, I don't think they would have necessarily,
Not for the keeping watch, but like, would they have been awake before Open?
no, what I mean is, because the two of you rotated keeping watch, one of you went to bed basically earlier than somebody who doesn't need to keep watch, and then one of you woke up later because, getting through the night kind of thing. I would say there's a possibility. Let me roll real quick. No. They all slept in since nobody woke them or told them when to wake up.
Damn. Alright. Take it.
Looking for a chance to stab someone?
I was actually gonna say that Elidon, if someone did try to come up, Elidon would have, harmed them. Maybe not stabbed them, but would have, broken an arm or a finger.
Marked them, not wounded them.
Yeah, mark them, not wounded. Just because Elidon would, know not to do that part, but, was so far in the panic that they would at least hurt someone, so, I was just curious, was all. Glad I didn't hurt any of them, though, so it's good. I forget, did we say that the sleeves on Elidon were actually, sleeves, or were they skin tight? I forgot.
I think they would be fine either way. It's just a matter that they're durable enough to service as not going to break easily. They're not full heavy armor or anything like that, but suitably enough for if you are exploring a ruin and things like that. They're not just for show, I would say.
Got it. Definitely no new marks under the sleeves. Never. Don't condone self-harming, guys. Don't do that.
I need more caffeine.
Kind of moon no have caffeine. Does it?
I could make it with caffeine.
Supposed to?
Tin Man.
Your Tin Man will trod over on its 3 legs.
You got a brew in you that has caffeine?
Please tell me it's Dr. Pepper, just to be funny. Look, Dr. Pepper has been around since like 18-something, so like for sure, Dr. Pepper would be there.
It's a magical experience.
It is. 23 flavors, man. Stop counting.
So, there would be a few different ones that it would have listed. The obvious, easiest is the simple Irish coffee. Shot of coffee, Irish whiskey, sugar, and cream. Carahillo is espresso mixed with a liquor or brandy. Espresso martini, vodka, Kahlua, and espresso. Buckfast tonic wine, caffeine fortified wine. Not actually a very common kind of thing. A very small container because it's imported. Possibility. It's just listing off things that it, are caffeinated alcoholic beverages. Considering it has a distillery on it and some container storage, it doesn't itself have those things. But it does tell you enough that, yes, there are plenty of drinks that, mix caffeine and alcohol. And if you have the supplies, it knows how to make it, but it would need the supplies. There's certain types of coffee mixes that can be found in the region, but you would have to ride to them if you didn't want to try making it yourself. There's Old Forge Coffee Moonshine. It's a mix of espresso, nut, caramel, and 60 proof spirit. It's basically they use moonshine, but they dilute it enough because they use the moonshine across a large batch.
I get the feeling that'd be the one I'd have. I mean, it uses moonshine, which is perfect.
Yeah, it'd be just you're using some kind of roasted nut, espresso, and a little bit of caramel with it. So
I assume I have coffee beans.
Yeah, coffee's been a staple for a long time and would continue to be a staple. There not be as many people who are growing it in the region, but there's still plenty of people who trade it, so it's still something that you can afford. And it's just that shipments do take longer if you run out.
I just have Tin Man brew as a pot. We can mix in what if we want moonshine.
Okay. So you use some equipment to grind some beans up, and then are able to make that. I will have you make a carousing check if you're going to use alcohol on it.
It's me, yes. Alrighty, that's 2, because I don't have anything carousing. Ooh, 2 10s. Why can't I get that in combat?
Because the dice god said, fuck you.
I can only do roleplay funnies well, not combat.
Well, I mean, you got 2 luck from it, so it's still helpful. It's part of why earning luck and chinks outside of combat is useful. Yeah, you're able to make a good, strong alcoholic coffee, and due to how much that you drink in general, and due to, despite the interrupted sleep, extra sleep, you don't end up heavily inebriated from it. You've got a buzz, but it's not going to be enough that's going to impair you.
Here, have this to wake up with.
Is Elidon going to try some, or no?
Oh, sorry, what am I doing?
I
He's
just
up.
yeah. I got 2 10s for brewing up some alcoholic coffee,
Well, that
and
was
I'm now offering it.
brewing and drinking.
Yeah.
I was
So,
gonna say, brewing and drinking. Elidon's actually not gonna try it. Elidon is not a drinker.
My character feels happy when buzzed 24/7.
Exactly. That's a concern for Elidon.
It's not a concern. It's normal and healthy.
it's a concern for much of society, but G.R.I.M at least understands its functional alcoholism.
Look, all I'm saying is it's my anti-parasite.
Uh-huh. I think Elidon's just gonna go find, like, an apple and go eat that.
Offer some of the coffee brew to prisoners, too.
Elidon walks away before they say anything wrong.
You have completely inebriated, piss, blackout drunk your prisoners, because all of them decided to try it.
Lightweights. I give them the really basic, you can do this, like, blackout drunk jobs. And lock my building.
Okay. They will definitely have hangovers tomorrow. Even
Good.
Nate, who has some experience with assorted different, illegal pharmacological drugs and the like, is not a heavy moonshine drinker. So it is not quite expecting that. And you set them to work on stuff that is not going to matter if they damage it, and that is unlikely to damage themselves. And that if they don't finish it and pass out, is not going to be a problem.
It's not my fault. I just offer them coffee.
Yes, coffee filtered with alcohol, filtered with lots and lots of alcohol.
Details are irrelevant in that matter.
Okay. Well,
Sure.
with that, you would have your half day that will pass from when you talk to them about getting the 3 agents that would come down and it'll still be a full day before they will arrive. I think that you have still the possibility of another watch that you need to both keep an eye out. But at present, your only main concern is one, making sure that the drunken prisoners don't injure themselves or others, and two, keep an eye out for possibility of any of the headless ones coming out of the woods. That said, it would probably, from Oppenheimer's past experience, dealing with ruins that are close to civilian populations, probably be best to be rotating, going staggered, either with law enforcement or separately on the highway, and go back and forth checking areas to look at the tree line for the possibility of anything that comes out. You can choose to do something else if you'd like, but that would probably be what Oppenheimer would know as general standard protocol when there's a known danger nearby a population.
I'm going to go with the better idea that you're describing. However, is there a chance I could also do target practice while I'm waiting?
I mean, you can certainly aim for stuff that's on the tree line. It just would be a matter of, old target practice when somebody would say, yeah, I was aiming for that specific thing. If you don't tell anybody what it is you're aiming for before you shoot at it, they won't know any better if you're shooting properly or not.
I'm just hoping to burn some jinx. So...
yeah, you can certainly do that. It's just a matter of, like I said, the possibility of, you don't have something that's easy to check how far off it was other than yourself. So somebody else can't, give you any advice in that particular regard on how to adjust things. You should, in general, know anyways, but sometimes a second, eye helps.
I'm not too worried about how accurate I actually am. I'm more just practicing shooting in unnatural, uncomfortable, or other unfortunate positions or ways. Practicing for in combat situations where I don't have the optimal situation.
Okay.
Thus the jinx dice to the roll.
Then yeah, you can spend a bit of time on the patrol, stop your horse for a while, adjust to whatever pose and distance that you're aiming at, and then resume. I will say you can make a number of strafe attribute trial checks with any bonuses from your weapons, etc. Dependent on how many times that you're going to do this, you will be adding to your expend tracker.
I'm planning on using the 308 because, I'm saving shotgun for the tight spaces.
Okay. So
not being a bonus from the 308 though.
Yeah, that's mostly the distance and whether or not accuracy disadvantage happens sooner or later.
Okay. So, however many times I can try to burn the jinx, I will. And I'm sure L is going to do their own form of this too, but...
Now, it's like I said, it's just a matter of how many expend that you want to do. Because as you increase the expend tracker, when you hit full, you roll a die to see if you step it down or if you just clear one. So there's the possibility of running out of ammo or of something else. That is something that, you know, is abstract. Like, you're not counting the number of shells exactly every single time. You're reloading regularly, but maybe you just ended up needing more of them than what you had.
Okay, so how does expend work then?
So expend, like I said, you just add one to the tracker. It doesn't necessarily mean you're using one-to-one bullets, but it's like you are spending in a particular spot, and what the result is if you got a straight success, a failure, etc. For example, if you're dealing a wound, you might fire one bullet, you might fire three, but you're only counting it as one expend. So, for example, if you were using a 22, your 3 shots of 22 might do the same damage as a 45 because of how you grouped them or where you hit.
Okay.
So it's, like I said, it's abstracted to not needing to count every single one until you actually are running out. But when you buy more, you're decreasing your expend.
So how does that work? Because I'm not using shotgun at all. I'm using 308 just to practice my aim, practice stuff. But does the expend also then affect my shotgun later?
If your expend fills up later and you step down a die, then you're out of shotgun shells.
Even though right now I'm not using shotgun shells.
It's later in the moment when you expend to use shotgun shells. The shells that you used in that moment, or ones that you drop and lose track of, are why you run out. You can't expend and run out of something without at least once using that particular thing. The last thing you use is what may or may not run out. But that only happens stepping down on a 1. Otherwise, you decrease your total expend tracker by 1. And then if you don't replenish it, then you might expend it again and roll it again. So it's a, like I said, it's a way to abstract if you're out of something in particular without having to manually track every single shot.
Okay. I have confidence that makes sense. So, what am I rolling?
You would be using a strafe attribute trial check and using aim or another suitable skill.
Accuracy for 2. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, accuracy. So that would be, if you have 2 of that would be 40-10. And you'd mark 1 expend each time that you're doing the check. So if you're wanting to do 4, you can burn however many jinx you're wanting to do in the single check, or you can do multiple checks to burn jinx multiple times.
I would just want to do a few burns.
Okay. So, how many jinx are you wanting to burn the first time?
2.
Okay. So, minus 2 jinx. So, first roll the 40-10 and keep the 2 highest.
That'd be 15 minus 7. So, what I rolled was 2, 2, 7, 8, 1, 6. So, 1, 6 is the d6s.
Okay. So you get rid of 1 jinx from that because you'd be gaining back the other one.
Okay.
So you've at least burned one, and you get, what was the totally in full?
15 minus 7, so 8.
Okay, so that's a failure with bonus. So you're going to get 3 progress on your accuracy.
Okay.
And I will say, in terms of your bonus, where you are practicing, at least you haven't hit anything that you shouldn't be hitting. You're not having any jam or anything else that's other than the fact that your shots are just going a bit wider than you would like them to be grouped.
Fair enough. So that is now 1 expend, right?
That'd be 1 expend. And
Okay.
you'd subtract 1 jinx because you had gained 1 after you had expended 2.
Yes.
So basically, you, in the moment, clean your gun, etc., and then are able to set up for the next time that you choose to do it again. So if you choose to do more target practice, you would do that another time. So.
Okay, cool. So I guess that was my thing, unless I do more.
Yep, you can choose to do more. You just would be adding to your expend tracker and the possibility of needing it at some future point. Last time when you did combat, you didn't really end up needing to worry about that because you did a lot more that was getting out of their range rather than needing to fire it as much because of how Elidon was using their abilities.
I'd like to use it 2 more times and then call that good.
Okay. And are you going to do minus 2 jinx on each of them?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. On the jinx is a 2 and a 3. On the dice is 2, 7, 9, 10. So 19 minus 5, 14.
Okay. Well,
And I get a luck out of that.
that's a success at cost. So I think the cost balances out with the prior bonus. So, still works in that particular regard. And then
How much progress is that?
that will be another 2 progress on the accuracy. So that will be 5 progress on the accuracy currently.
Yep.
And then you can go ahead and make your third one.
Okay. Ooh, buddy, this is not going to be comfortable. 2, 3, 9, 7. And on the jinx is a 4 and a 6.
Okay. So that's minus 10 and 16, I think it was. So 6.
Yep.
All right. Failure with bonus. I will say in this particular case, you're going to take a mark, which will bump you up to a wound but clear your marks.
Fair enough.
And that would be just a matter of when you are practicing something that you shot just splinters off and comes right back in your general direction, just scrapes. Not a major thing, but you've already got marks, so it just causes some of that bandaged wound to just start seeping again.
And with the progress being 20 to get to the next rank, that means I have gained a rank in accuracy.
Yep, so you got +8 this time, so you have a rank in accuracy.
Oh. Did that. I guess all that's left I do is, when I get back, restock on shotgun shells and put the rifle away, because I believe I'm getting low on their rounds for it.
Okay, so you're going to be refilling it from your supplies?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a 1d6.
1d6, you say? Hoity-toity, that's a 3.
Okay. Go ahead and remove one of your expense. You still are.
Okay.
You still have 2, but you have ample enough that you're not running out at the barn or anything like that. You still have a decent supply of it, but you will need to end up at some point buying more. You weren't able to just completely clear it because you need to keep some on hand for, if something does happen.
Okay.
And then your patrol didn't have any problems along it. The gunfire possibly had some effect on things considering whether or not to come in the general direction, as tends to happen with a lot of wild animals. So, useful.
Side note, I recall you saying all these successes were 1 point, but this session you've been saying it's like 2 points here and such. Unless I misnoted.
So, it's 1 point if you have a success with bonus.
Okay.
It's 3 points if you have any failure.
Yep.
It's 2 if you have other successes.
I have not been logging that way then. Okay. I'll review the log thing that you make for it.
I will double check, but
I just had noticed all successes were 1 point, and then failures were 2, 3, whatever. So it's not important right now. I'm just asking because I noticed I was doing something wrong.
yeah. The original thing, which was back in 2023, was that it was 1 for a fail, even a failing, 2 for most successes, and 3. So we had just flipped it upside down, is what it was. So I was double checking it, but that's what it should be. If you do come across it in the group chat that's between the two of you, or directly in DM with you, go ahead and mention that to me, but I should have the transcript, which will at least make it easy for me to update that. But yeah, that should be fine. But yeah, you should have enough to be able to get that rank in accuracy. So, meanwhile, what is Elidon doing during their patrol section?
I'm assuming having this breakdown.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. What are you trying to do?
Right. I would say Elidon's just observing, just trying to make sure that there is no other creatures of any sorts. But then the spiral, I'm assuming.
Okay. Are you trying to remember anything specifically while you're on the patrol? Like things to look out for, or just general looking for anything?
General looking for anything.
Okay. So go ahead and make 3. I'll let you pick traversal or interaction.
Let's go with traversal.
Okay.
I don't see Elidon interacting with much.
Okay.
Alright.
Make 3 traversal if you have a particular skill that you think would apply as you're going on your patrol.
Camouflage. That one I have.
That would definitely help for you to be able to see things that you might not be able to see if it spots you.
Exactly. Yeah. Woo. That is 2 4s and a 10. The first roll.
Okay. So that would be 14 success at cost. Go ahead and roll the next one.
One. That is a 3, a 4, and a 9.
Okay. 13, that would be success at cost. Go ahead and roll the next one.
A 1, a 6, and an 8.
Okay. So it'll be 6 progress on traversal. And even though you weren't specifically trying for it, I want you to go ahead and roll a interaction attribute trial check -1. If you have memory, you can use that as a skill. If not, just roll it flat.
No, I do not have. So it's just a straight 2d10.
2d10 and then -1.
I just want to. That is a 4 and a 6.
Okay. This is success at cost. The 2 progress memory. And you've had 4 costs on this. They were all success at cost, though, so you didn't have anything that you noticed that was coming out of the woods or anything during your patrol. There's the possibility that there's some things that you didn't notice that were deeper in the woods, but they were not anything that was affecting your patrol directly. in terms of the cost. I'm adding up something for later. Little snack of something occurring. Nothing to worry about.
God, that's always something to worry about.
Yeah,
But I'll
I think I'm
take
gonna
your
worry about it.
word.
Okay. And
The DM said not to worry about it,
as
though, so you know what? I'm gonna follow DM's advice. I'm just not gonna worry.
as you are on your patrol, your fixation on experiment and your little bit of memory with that, it's just now clicking as you're away from everything that was triggering that trauma in a different town, far away from that subterranean complex, far away from any of the experiments that were being done, with people who care about you, care for you. You realize there's a reason why her mentioning it is triggering it more than just things that you've heard about that happened in some old ruins before the cataclysm, that were here on Earth or that came over from Domtalahn. And you realize in that moment, you vaguely remember her voice.
I knew it. I knew it.
And that is where we're going to leave the session off for the broadcast. We can discuss a little bit once we're off air. Any one last sentence or two before I end broadcast and we go off air?
Tune in next time for Chaos.
Let's go.
Chaos reigns.
Chaos will reign. May it reign forever.
All right, well, catch everybody on the flip side, and we will